Hello everyone, today I will continue sharing with you the story of Diệu Hân, a single mother. After the tragedy of losing her little child, Hân sank into long dark days, the pain crashing over her heart like endless waves. There were nights when she stayed awake in a silent room, with nothing but the sound of her muffled sobs echoing around her. She once blamed fate, blamed herself, and even countless times thought of giving up everything. Overwhelmed by utter helplessness, her heart closed itself off, fragile and easily broken, unwilling to face anyone and no longer believing in anything good. And yet, as time passed, within those quiet moments, Hân realized that there was still someone by her side, Tom. He didn't use flowery words, nor did he demand that she forget her pain, but every silent hand he held, every quiet embrace, every meal he patiently waited to share with her, became the most tender medicine for her wounded soul. It was his steady presence that reminded Hân she was not alone, that there was still a shoulder strong enough to hold her whenever she grew weary. One afternoon, catching the worried gaze of Tom following her, Hân suddenly understood. She was no longer living only for herself. If she allowed her grief to drown her forever, she would only hurt the man who had loved her wholeheartedly and sacrificed so much for her. In that very moment, she decided she had to rise, had to learn to be strong, to love herself again, and to become a source of strength for Tom, the one who had placed his entire heart in her hands. From then on, Hân slowly learned to smile again, even though sometimes those smiles still carried tears. She began treasuring the little things in life, cooking a warm meal with her own hands, taking a walk with Tom beneath the trees, or simply listening to him talk about his everyday stories. Each of those simple moments helped her rediscover the meaning of life, the joy she once thought was gone forever. The loss of her child remained a scar etched deep in her heart, a pain that could never be erased. But instead of breaking down, Hân chose to transform that scar into strength, into resilience, and into gratitude for what she still had. She learned to look forward, carrying painful memories in her heart, yet now strong enough to smile, strong enough to protect Tom, just as he had always protected her. And along the long journey ahead, Hân knew she would never again be alone, for beside her was always Tom, the man who would hold her hand through storms and sunshine alike, building together a home filled with love, so that life could bloom once more. When she finally regained her spirit, Hân began paying attention to every little corner of their home. The kitchen, once so empty and silent after the tragedy, now became the starting point for change. She decided to renovate the small kitchen and refresh the house, not only to prepare for the coming storm season, but also as a way to open a new chapter in her life. In the beginning, Hân made her own plans, replacing leaky tiles on the roof, repainting peeling walls, reorganizing every cup and spoon. When Tom learned of her intentions, he said nothing, but quietly took out his tools and started helping. One morning, as Hân struggled to move an old kitchen cabinet, Tom stepped in, wiped the sweat off his brow, and said, "Let me handle this part. You just watch, it's too heavy." Hân smiled and shook her head. "It's all right, I want to do some of it myself. I want this kitchen to feel warmer, because this is where we'll start over together." Hearing this, Tom paused, looked at her with gentle eyes, and spoke softly. "I understand. You're stronger than I imagined. But let me carry the heavy parts and you just keep smiling, that's enough." Both of them laughed, their laughter echoing in the messy kitchen yet filling it with warmth. In the days that followed, they scraped off old paint, replaced light bulbs, and even sat together among piles of broken bricks debating, "Should we place this shelf here? Or let's waterproof this corner before the rains come?" Every small task became a chance for Hân and Tom to grow closer. She realized it wasn't just the kitchen or the house being renewed, but her heart as well. In the dim glow of the overhead lamp, with the sound of rain tapping outside the porch, Hân suddenly felt, this house, this man was truly the home of her life. When the kitchen repairs were finished, Hân and Tom discussed an even bigger decision. The old house, weather-beaten after so many years, had deteriorated too much. Together they agreed to tear it down completely and build a new home. One strong enough to withstand storms, and also a symbol of their new beginning. On demolition day, Han stood silently watching bricks and beams collapse. Her eyes reflected a sky full of memories, tinged with sorrow. Tan gently squeezed her hand and said in a low voice, "Don't be sad. We're letting go of what's too old to build something newer, stronger. Just like you, who rose from pain to become even braver." Han smiled through glistening eyes. "I know. I just want to hold on to a little of the memories. But I believe this new house will truly belong to us." After the old house was gone, they began busy days of preparation. Tan worked hard comparing prices, choosing the best waterproof bricks, while Han carefully wrote down lists. Cement, sand, steel, new tiles, and even the paint color she had always dreamed of. One morning they went to a building materials store together. Amid the noisy trucks and the dusty smell of cement, Han eagerly picked items like a child shopping for their own little paradise. "Tan, I like this light blue paint. It feels cool and peaceful." "All right, then we'll take it. And for the tiles, I'll order the strongest kind, ones that can withstand storms." They laughed and planned as they walked, eyes filled with hope. That trip for materials became a memory to cherish, not just for building a house, but as the first step of a new journey, where Han and Tan would create their home with all their love and resilience. Han knew this new house would not just shield them from sun and rain, but would be the place where she and Tan weather storms together and nurture new seeds of happiness for the future. When the building materials arrived, the small yard in front of the house suddenly came alive. Stacks of cement bags, piles of sand, steel bars, and new tiles lay neatly in place, waiting for human hands to turn them into a home. Han stood watching, her heart brimming with excitement and nervous anticipation. Tan rolled up his sleeves, a bright smile on his face. "Let's begin. From today, this house will start taking shape." Han nodded, determination shining in her eyes. Together with Tan, she mixed cement, shoveled sand, each heavy stroke of the spade filled with energy. Sweat soaked through their shirts, yet neither felt tired, because the joy of building a new home made all the hardships sweet. At times, when Han struggled with measurements, her hands trembling as she held the ruler, Tan would step in and take it from her. "Let me do it. You just point where it should go." Han laughed. "Don't underestimate me. I want to pitch in too, not just stand by and watch." Tan looked at her tenderly and nodded. "All right then, we'll do it together. This house has to carry the marks of both our hands." Day after day they built each wall, laid each brick. At noon they sat under a tree's shade, sharing a simple lunchbox Han had prepared. Tan placed a piece of braised fish into Han's bowl. "Eat more, you've grown thinner. You need strength to build a house." Han smiled, warmth flooding her heart. In the evenings when work paused, they sat on the porch, gazing at the piles of materials still scattered around. Crickets chirped, and the wind carried the earthy scent of soil after a rain. Resting her head on Tana's shoulder, Han whispered, "I've never felt so full of hope. This new house isn't just for shelter. It's where we begin a different life." Tan pulled her closer, his eyes glowing. "Yes. From now on, whatever storms come, we'll face them together. As long as this house has you and me, it's happiness already." Thus, each day's labor built not only sturdy walls but also stronger bonds of love. The house was unfinished, yet in Han's heart, it already glowed. A home of love, trust, and resilience. As the construction entered its next phase, the workload grew heavier, from hauling bricks to setting frames. Just then Sang, their longtime friend, arrived upon hearing the news. Wearing a worn t-shirt, he set down his hard hat with a grin. "So, you two started building a house without inviting me? That's a heavy fine. From today, I'm your helper on this site." Tan laughed, slapping Sang's shoulder. "Perfect timing. We've been struggling with slow progress." Han's smile was brighter than usual. "Thank you, Sang. With another pair of hands, I know this house will come together faster." From that day on, the three worked side by side. In the mornings, Sang helped Han mix cement and carry bricks, while Han measured and arranged tools. Laughter blended with the clang of shovels and the thud of hammers. "Sang, be gentle or those bricks will crack," Han teased. "Relax, I'm better at this than Tan," Sang shot back, grinning. Tan pretended to frown. "Careful or I'll put you on night shifts." The worksite was always filled with cheer. At lunchtime, they sat on unfinished brick floors, eating the simple meal Han prepared. Sang bit into a pickled cucumber and exclaimed, "Strange how ordinary food tastes so good here." Tan chuckled. "That's the flavor of our own labor. We're building the future." In the afternoons, as sunlight slanted across the half-laid roof tiles, their voices and laughter mingled with the scent of fresh earth, leaving each of them with an indescribable happiness. Thanks to Sang's help, the house carried not only the imprint of Han and Tan, but also the depth of enduring friendship. In the golden glow of sunset, as Han watched the two men laying bricks together, her heart overflowed with faith. This house would surely become a steadfast home, holding not only love but also the bond of true hearts. Day after day, the house gradually took shape under their diligent hands. The first wall stood tall, each row of bricks perfectly aligned. Han looked on, her heart fluttering as though watching a painting created from their sweat and effort. Sang and Tan took turns carrying bricks and pouring concrete, while Han carefully handed them smaller pieces, sometimes wiping dust from her hands with a cloth. Once, Sang joked while lifting a bucket of mortar, "When we finish this house, we'll qualify to start our own construction team." Tan laughed loudly. "Sure, but only if Han agrees to be our site supervisor. Otherwise everything will collapse." Han burst out laughing, her eyes sparkling with simple joy. Day by day the roof was tiled, the floor smoothed and gleaming. The little kitchen Han had dreamed of was finally taking shape, with a window frame welcoming golden sunlight. Each time the evening breeze blew through, the new walls seemed to sing a melody of hope. One evening, as the house neared completion, the three of them sat beneath the newly built porch, looking up at the roof still scented with fresh wood. Tan wiped his brow, pride in his voice. "Just a few more days and this house will truly be ours." Sang nodded, his eyes shining. "This isn't just a house. It's the result of love, effort, and friendship." Sitting between them, Han quietly let happiness swell inside her. In the crimson glow of sunset, she whispered, "This house will hold all our hopes, our sorrows, and our laughter. It will be the place where a new journey begins." Though not yet finished, in their hearts it was already a complete home, solid as the walls they built, and warm as the flame glowing within each of them. After many days of hard work, the new house was finally complete. The once bare red brick walls now gleamed with fresh paint, the sturdy tiled roof lay still beneath the afternoon sun, and the windows opened wide to welcome in the cool breeze. In the small kitchen, the faint smell of new paint mingled with the scent of wood, but already there stood a lovely little wooden table Han had placed there, like a warm, homely touch. The housewarming was simple, yet overflowing with joy. Han prepared a modest meal: a pot of mixed vegetable soup, a plate of braised fish, pickled vegetables, and a little homemade rice wine. Tan set the dining table in the middle of the new house, while Sang quickly hung a few lanterns on the porch, their shimmering light chasing away the last traces of fatigue. When the three sat down, Han poured wine into their glasses, her voice trembling with happiness. "Thank you, both of you. Without your help, I could never have dreamed of this day. This house doesn't belong to me alone. It is the shared achievement of all three of us." Tan raised his glass, his eyes glowing. "We built this together with sweat and effort. From today this is our home, a place to hold love, friendship, and trust." Sang laughed heartily, clinking his glass with a sharp kung. "That's right. This is a house of happiness. Let's always remember, no matter how tough life gets, this home will remind us that we once overcame everything together. The golden lantern light reflected off the new walls, illuminating 3 radiant smiles. Outside, a light drizzle signaled the storm season's arrival, but inside the new house warmth spread, their laughter drowning out the sound of rain. Han looked around, her heart swelling with emotion. At last, she had a place to return to, a true home, not only built of bricks and tiles, but of love, sharing, and the united hands of her dearest ones. Just a few days after the humble celebration, dark clouds gathered. Storm season had truly arrived. Wind howled outside the porch, rain lashed against the windows, and trees bent as if ready to be torn from the ground. The whole village buzzed with anxious preparations. Inside the new house, Han, Tan, and On Sang huddled around a newly lit fire. Han gazed at the storm outside, unease flickering in her eyes. What if the house isn't strong enough? I'm afraid. Tan placed a steady hand on her shoulder, his voice firm. Don't worry. We built this with all our strength and care. No matter how fierce the storm outside, in here we are safe. Adding more wood to the fire, Sang chuckled. Exactly. Let's see if this storm can truly challenge our work. The wind screamed against the roof, but the tiles held firm, the walls unmoving. Rain splattered against the windows but slid harmlessly down the walls. Inside, the fire's glow revealed faces filled with confidence. That night, as the storm raged on, Han felt a profound certainty. This house was truly a refuge, not only shielding their bodies but soothing her soul. She smiled softly and whispered, just loud enough for Tan and Sang to hear. I feel like I've found peace again. With both of you and with this house, I'm no longer afraid. Tan squeezed her hand, while Sang raised his steaming cup of tea. Here's to the house surviving its very first storm. Their laughter rose above the storm, the firelight illuminating the walls. Proof that their home was strong enough to endure tempests, just as their hearts were strong enough to overcome life's trials. After a long night of roaring winds and pounding rain, the morning sky slowly cleared. The storm's fury had subsided, leaving behind the earthy scent of wet soil and the cheerful chirping of birds in the garden. Han was the first to reach the door. She unlatched it gently, and the new wooden door creaked open. Morning sunlight poured in, flooding the house so brightly that she had to squint. Tan and Sang joined her, and together they stepped onto the porch. Before them, the village road was still dotted with puddles, broken branches scattered about, but the sky shone blue, freshly washed. Sunbeams fell on the red-tiled roof of the new house, glowing like a warm flame. Taking a deep breath, Han's eyes sparkled with emotion. We made it. The house truly stood strong. Tan wrapped an arm around her shoulder, his voice steady with pride. Not just the house. We ourselves have become stronger after the storm. Sang stretched, his broad smile bright. That's right. Today feels like a brand new beginning. After the rain, the sky will always shine like this. The 3 of them stood together in the morning light, hearts brimming with hope. Han felt deeply within her. The losses and heartbreak of the past had finally begun to close. Ahead of her was a new journey with a steadfast home, love, friendship, and faith to guide the way. In that moment, the sunrise warmed not only the land after the storm, but their souls as well, opening the door to a bright and promising future. Since the storm, life for Han and Tan in their new home gradually settled into a rhythm of peace. Each morning, sunlight streamed through the clear window panes, casting a warm glow over the tidy kitchen that Han carefully tended to. The rhythmic sound of chopping, the soft aroma of vegetable soup filling the air, made the little house always brim with the warmth of family. Outside of his daily work, Tan devoted time to caring for the small garden behind the house. He rebuilt the trellis for the gourds and planted a few rows of fresh greens. Every time he saw the tender sprouts pushing up from the soil, a calm serenity filled his heart, as if life itself was slowly reviving after the stormy days. Though often busy, Sang still dropped by on weekends. Sometimes he brought fruit, other times new wooden planks for making tables and chairs. The three of them would sit together under the porch, sipping hot tea and chatting cheerfully. Now and then Sang would tease, "Without me, this house could never have been finished, you know." Han laughed, and Tan jokingly replied, "Right, you're both our chief craftsman and honored guest." At dusk, as the sunset spread across the red-tiled roof, Han sat on the porch watching Tan water the garden and Sang adjust the chairs. Her heart overflowed with a quiet, simple happiness. She knew this house was not just a shelter from the sun and rain, but a witness to love, friendship, and the strength that carried them through trials. And so daily life flowed on, not noisy, not luxurious, but peaceful and warm. For Han, that was true happiness. A new home, a heart that had healed, and beloved ones always by her side.
Xin chào mọi người, rất vui được gặp mọi người trong kênh của mình. Chúc mọi người có một ngày mới vui vẻ, hạnh phúc và an lành. Hy vọng rằng mọi người sẽ có một ngày làm việc hiệu quả và năng suất. Hiện tại thì những video của mình đang được phát hành vào khung giờ 7 giờ tối tại Việt Nam. Thì rất mong được mọi người ủng hộ và nhiều chị đón xem. Những video của mình thường kể về những câu chuyện của những người mẹ đơn thân và mẹ đơn thân Diệu Hân và những cuộc sống khó khăn của hai mẹ con tại bươn trải và những ngày tươi đẹp càng ngày thì càng lộ dần ra. Hy vọng rằng những câu chuyện của mình sẽ mang đến niềm vui cho mọi người khi xem video và rất mong được sự ủng hộ của mọi người trong kênh của mình để kênh của mình ngày càng phát triển hơn. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video của mình. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người nha.